Good morning, community member. Today is Thursday, February the 8th. So, I have a quick question for our community members. This morning. I've seen the coverage over the past couple of days regarding the decision to charge the mom, and she has been convicted of the school shooting at Oxford High School in Michigan. And as I was watching the coverage from content creators I enjoy, I began to think about this particular case. Now, if you don't know who this is here, this is the mom from the Virginia school shooting. And amazingly enough, she was sentenced in December of 2023 to 2 years for child neglect because her child brought a weapon to school and fired that weapon at his teacher. And I remember the coverage from that particular case being quite everywhere. Everybody was talking about how horrible it was that a 7 year old child brought a weapon to school, and this wonderful woman who was just there trying to help the kids was shot at her job. And as someone who has worked with kids, I can tell you that a small child who has a serious disability um, doesn't always have the ability to appreciate their actions. Yet, the media coverage and the support shown in the comment section of every news channel that ran those stories was that mom was horrible, lock her up. How can people be so reckless? Lock her up. She's a bad person, lock her up. And I wanted to give you a quick look inside the world of the parents who lose their children, because we have had in the coverage a lot of talk, and I'm gonna call out some of these channels at the end about slippery slope and who else is going to be charged and how this can set a horrible precedent. And I didn't hear any of that talk when it came to the mom in the Virginia school shooting. And the question you need to ask yourself is, why was the media, was society so quick to destroy and malign and mistreat the mom in Virginia? And yet in Michigan, when her child brings a gun to school and hurts someone, now we have to have a conversation because it could be any one of us. Any one of us could be Mrs. Crumbley. Are you sure about that? Because none of us could be the mom from Virginia. So I want to take a look right quick at a clip from the parent of Columbine following the verdict and why I think the verdict might have went the way that it went.
Killed at Columbine. And earlier today, I spoke with his father, Tom, and I asked him if he wished that he had the same kind of justice that the Michigan parents got today. Here is our interview. Tom, what did you make of today's verdict?
I was pleased. I think it's long overdue that we saw parents of a school shooter in a case like this, that was such an extreme case.
And I'm going to pause it right here because, as he says, it was long overdue for parents in such an extreme case to finally have some accountability for leaving unsecured weapons accessible to children who have serious mental illness.
To pay a price for it.
Was there anything in particular that Jennifer Crumbley may have said while she was on the stand in her own defense that particularly made you feel this way?
Part of it was.
Now he's going to mention two things that he felt were problematic, but when we get to her actual clip of her testimony, I'm going to point out some things that he doesn't mention.
When I heard her comment that she'd wished that the school had shown more concern about her son, I thought it was so ironic. Why didn't she and her husband show the same concern about their son? The signs to me were there. The signs of behavior. Clearly, it was a troubled kid. And then when she said that it was her husband's responsibility to secure the gun, I'm sorry, it's the responsibility of both parents to secure a gun.
And I appreciate the fact that he did mention that if you have weapons in your home, it is the responsibility of all the adults in the home to make sure that all children, there's a case in Dallas right now, a 19-year-old left a weapon on a PlayStation. I covered that story. A 6-year-old found it, looked into the barrel of the gun, and now she is no longer on the census. That woman is going to bury a 6-year-old child because of some stupid 19-year-old with a weapon. So, what makes these two people different? What makes these two moms different? Why is everybody so worried about the mom with the mask and not the other mom in the black shirt? This mom didn't do anything, but here in this particular case, there was no outrage. Nobody cared. There was no slippery slope here. No one was worrying about, well, are they going to start charging all parents if their kids do something? And yet, that's all we have heard. We heard so much about how that other family was reckless with guns. And yet, in this case, all we hear about is, well, it's Michigan and it's gun country and it's hunting country and it's gun culture. So, why was so much concern for this case, but none for the other? And I think that's the question that people are going to have to answer for themselves. So, we're going to get right quick into some of Jennifer Crumbley's testimony. Now, this is her direct examination from the trial. And when the parent from Columbine says that there are things that she said during her testimony that may have led to her conviction, I want to point out a few more things in addition to the ones that he mentioned.
I don't think I'm a failures parent, but at the time, I guess I didn't see. I felt bad that Ethan was sad at those things, and I guess I don't know. I just felt like I failed somewhere. I don't.
So now she's telling us she doesn't feel like a failure as a parent because she had sent a text message that day up to somebody saying that she felt like she was a failure. That was one of the text messages that came out in court. But she just felt like Ethan was sad. This lady's been sitting in jail since the crime because she fled. And with all that time and reflection, the best she could come up with was Ethan was sad after he destroyed 4 lives and wounded 7.
I don't know how to describe it. Just at that point in time, I just kind of felt like somewhere I failed. Do you believe there was anything your son was a danger to anyone else? No. As a parent, you spend your whole life trying to protect your child from other dangers. You never would think you have to protect your child from harming somebody else.
Okay, I'm going to stop right here. She said you spend your whole life protecting your child from other dangers. Concede. Granted. Then she says you never think that your child will hurt somebody else. Man, we have been having school shootings since 1999. Man, we average 4 to 5 a year here in the Americas. What on God's green earth makes you think that your child cannot be one of those? See, that's the arrogance. See, that's the foolishness that exists in homes all over this country, and it ended up splashing all over the front pages of our news. Oh, no, it could never be my child. Oh, my child would never do anything like that. Ma'am, your child is human. Your child is unwell. Your child has unfettered access to guns. Ma'am, you are the textbook definition of what those of us who send our kids to school fear this mentality and this kind of behavior.
That's what blew my mind. That was the hardest thing I had to stomach, is that my child had to other people.
She said that was the hardest thing that she had to stomach.
There were things you were thinking at the time, I took this, but I'm not doing it. Do you look back and think that? No, I don't. I mean, of course I look back after this all happened.
The question was, now this is the one that I honestly believe that sunk her. The question was if there was anything that she would basically change, given what she knew now. Um, and this is the response she gave.
And I've asked myself if I would have done anything differently, and I wouldn't have. Oh, absolutely. I wish he would have killed us instead.
That's my take on this. That the actions of that parent and that family are why people were so angry. The actions of those parents, not just with the weapon, but in the parenting, is why people were so angry. It's also why some people were so angry at the Virginia mom. They felt like it was a failure in parenting. But in this case, in the coverage I've seen from big name shows, whether it's MSNBC, CNN, or Fox, on down to your favorite news contributors like Lawyer Bruce Rivers, all of these channels have had so much concern for the mom in Michigan and none. There was no coverage like that for the mom in Virginia. And the question I would like to know from you all is why.